into the plan if you want to use the money to reduce your taxable income for last year. Our guest is going to walk us through the paperwork here. Issuers have until May 1st to send you an actual contribution receipt. And of course, that contribution is just the first step. Sometimes people don't make a decision what to do with the money once it's in the plan. Let's get more from Nicole Ewing, Principal of the Wealth Planning Office at TD Wealth. Nicole, great to see you. Thanks very much indeed.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
You're here with a timely reminder. Get the money in by Monday or on Monday at the latest.
Well, and I love what you mentioned there about that's only the first step. So we get that contribution in, but we really want to think about making sure that it's invested appropriately so that you're maximizing that opportunity for that compounding growth over the long term. So that should be part of your overall plan, making sure that, yes, the money is in on time by the deadline, but also that you are then making it work for you within your RRSP.
Yeah, because often I've read this, that people say, well, we'll just leave the money sit there for a while in personal planning, and then they forget about it. Human inertia takes over.
Well, that's it. And we want to be, actively looking at, this is a great time of year to be doing it. We're already turning our mind to it. So let's make sure that we've looked at that through, with intentionality to make sure that's there. Also making sure that you know exactly what you've contributed. People make mistakes sometimes thinking that maybe I put it in, maybe I didn't. And as you mentioned, those forms don't come in until May 1st. So making sure you know exactly what you're dealing with will allow you to make better decisions for yourself and for your family, your spouse as well. That's a really important thing to think about, is making sure that you're optimizing the opportunity that you have with your spouse to see what your retirement planning will be. So when you're deciding how much to be putting into your RRSP, whether to be putting that into your spouse's RRSP, perhaps instead of your own, there's some opportunities for planning there as well.
Remind us, say you're the higher earning one and your spouse, your partner, is in a lower bracket. Is it very straight, if they already have an RRSP, is it very straightforward? You just say, well, I'm contributing this money, but denote it as going into the spouse's RRSP?
Yeah, there's different ways of doing it. So you could have a spousal RRSP, but essentially you're contributing. They're the annuitant of their plan, and you're the contributor. So you're using your own contribution room. You are the one who's able to use that against your income. So you can use that to deduct against your income to reduce your limit. But then that funds are going to grow in your spouse's account, tax-free for their retirement. Now, why would you want to do this? Really, we're looking here at different marginal rates. If all of the income is being earned now in one spouse's hands, they're probably paying tax at the highest marginal rate. That may also be true come retirement time. So this gives an opportunity to redirect some of those retirement funds into the lower income earning spouse's hands, so that come retirement time, we have that income splitting opportunity to have income taxed in their hands at their lower marginal rate. And it also allows you to do some planning before age 65. So there are rules about pension income splitting, for example, but generally those only apply after 65. So when you're less than that, you are able to use a spousal RRSP, allocate some of the money out, perhaps avoid an OAS clawback for the higher income earning spouse as well. There's other considerations we think about would be, if you are an older spouse and your spouse is younger than you, perhaps you are over age 71, but you still have some contribution room yourself, you are actually able to use your own contribution room past age 71 to contribute to your younger spouse's RRSP as well. So we really want to be looking at how to maximize the overall tax savings opportunities, not only to get that deduction for today's income, but also to be thinking ultimately how those funds are going to be used in retirement and trying to reduce the taxes there if possible as well.
Now, I don't want to bog us down, Nicole. Usually, though, you'd need to set up an actual spousal RRSP. Say your partner had their own RRSP. Can you do a contribution directly into their RRSP?
Well, I'd just be cautious, making sure that you're not, work with your financial institution to make sure that you're doing that effectively, because we wouldn't want, for example, for there to be some slip up in the paperwork. So making sure that you know exactly what account the funds are going into, and that is quite intentional. And there's rules as well about whether the funds can come out. So if those are coming out within an earlier period of time, we want to make sure, like less than 3 years, that can get a little bit funky and have that taxed in your hands as well. So I would work very closely with the financial institution where you have your plan. You can have more than one RRSP. If a spouse has an RRSP, you can have a separate spousal RRSP set up as well. So I would work with your institution to determine what the best way is for you.
Now, if you start getting a pension at 65 or older, but your income's still higher than your partner, you can split the pension, can you?
Yeah, after age 65, there's certain rules that would apply that would allow you to split that income between spouses, but where the RRSP contribution into the spouse's account will allow you to do that before age 65. So you can use both sets of rules. There's other rules that apply as well to government benefits that you'd be receiving. Those are a separate set of rules. So we want to be really careful about how we're doing this, but it does create some opportunities.
Right, and both spouses don't have to be 65 though for the pension splitting.
So it's, well, it depends.
Okay.
Depending on the type of income that we're talking about,
right,
they may need to be over 65. So you would get you can claim that you have split it, but the younger spouse wouldn't necessarily be able to have a reciprocal filing on their filing.
It's a busy time of year, I guess. Traditionally, I remember going down Bay Street, you would see planners in the restaurants and stuff, or in the food courts, frantically doing RSP work. Is that over now, and people do everything electronically, just about?
Well, yeah, I mean, generally speaking, yes. And often this time of year as well is just people making sure that they've dotted their I's and crossed their T's, yes, because we generally recommend to be making these contributions when you have the opportunity throughout the year, so that you're maximizing that time to have it in the tax deferral vehicle rather than waiting for that last minute. This can very much be done online now. Of course, things can happen at the very last minute. So we want to give ourselves a little bit of buffer room and not wait until the March 3rd deadline. So I would suggest looking at that today, tomorrow, make sure that's done in time.
Nicole, thank you very much indeed.
Oh, my pleasure.
Nicole Ewing,